Polly and the Pixies. Polly was on a very important journey. There wasn't a moment to lose, so she was walking as fast as she could. On her way past a small village green, she noticed the villagers lounging around. "Why is a little girl like you in such a big rush?" asked a woman. "I've just been to market to sell a gold ring," said Polly. "My mother's ill, and we need money to help make her better." "Well, you'd go a lot quicker with a nice, refreshing drink inside you," said a man. He offered her a full glass. "Here, a present from the village." Polly was so hot she took the glass and drank thirstily. When she had finished, they produced another, and another, and another. After her fourth glass, she said, "Excuse me, where's the toilet?" An old woman said, "This way, my dear. It's all right, you can leave your bag. We'll look after it for you." The other villagers nodded. When she got back, Polly thanked them, picked up the bag, and set off. When she was outside the village, she looked into her bag, and her stomach turned to jelly. The bag was full of stones. "I've been robbed," she wailed, and burst into tears. The sound of the tears falling on the ground woke a fairy who was asleep nearby. "What's the matter?" she asked, yawning. Polly told her how the villagers had stolen her money. "That village is known to be the meanest in the country. In fact, we call the people who live there the Nasties," said the fairy. "This is a job for the Pixies." She blew into a bluebell flower. In a second, they were surrounded by scores of pixies with turned-up noses and pointed ears. "Who'd be using the pixie horn?" asked one. "Me," replied the fairy. "Polly here needs your help." The pixies murmured worriedly. "I know you don't like helping humans," continued the fairy, "but if you help Polly, you might get a chance to play a trick on the Nasties." At this, the pixies started pulling at their beards with excitement. "Tell them your story, Polly," encouraged the fairy. Polly took a deep breath and told the pixies exactly what had happened to her. When she had finished, the pixie chief said, "Methinks it's time for a pixie fair." "A pixie fair, a pixie fair," chorused the others. "What's a pixie fair?" asked Polly. The chief pixie replied, "Well now, it'd be a fair held by pixies." They all laughed and pulled each other's beards. "We sets up our stalls, and we sells pixie things like this." Polly watched as he picked up a pine cone and swirled around very fast. When he opened his hand, the pine cone had turned into pure gold. "Here," he said, throwing it to her, "a present from the pixies." "A pixie gift, a tricksy gift," sang the others, and disappeared. In the time it took Polly to put the gold pine cone in her pocket, the pixies had reappeared, bringing with them the most beautiful stalls. "What are you going to sell?" asked Polly. We sell, whatever we sell," the pixies sang, and started to hunt around the clearing. They used their magic to turn pieces of tree bark into chunks of gold, spiders' webs into the finest spun silver, and drops of dew into sparkling diamonds. In no time at all, the stalls were groaning with precious things. Meanwhile, back at the village, the Nasties were counting out Polly's money. When they heard the pixies approaching, they quickly hid it. "Come to the fair, come to the fair," chanted the pixies. Then they started to dance around at the startled people, singing, "Flobbity-wee and flibbity-woo, a pixie fair we have for you, with gold and silver diamonds too. Come to the pixie fair." The villagers had heard about little people and how they had secret stores of gold. Sensing the chance to make themselves even richer, they picked up their ill-gotten money and followed the Pixies. When they saw the stores, their eyes goggled with greed. The Pixies cleverly charged such bargain prices that the villagers spent all their money. As the last villager struggled off with her bulging bag of pixie riches, the fairy led Polly out from where they had been hiding. "But why did you sell your things so cheaply?" protested Polly. "They don't deserve to have all that after what they did to me." At this, the Pixies all laughed loudly. "How much would you pay for an old leaf?" said the chief. "I beg your pardon," replied Polly. "Look, look, lookety look," shouted the Pixies, pointing at one of the gold leaves that was left on a stool. Polly looked and saw the gold leaf change back into a normal leaf. "Do you mean all those precious things will turn into ordinary things again?" asked Polly. She's bright as a moonlit night," sang the Pixies. "And we've got all your money back," said the fairy. "Come on, Pixies, hand it over." The Pixies gave Polly most of her money, keeping a little bit for themselves. Pixies aren't all that nice. Then they gathered together and sang, "Farewell, farewell, and fare thee well," and with one last chuckle, they were gone. "Now," said the fairy, "I think you'd better be going home too." There was a bright flash, and Polly found herself at her mother's bedside. Her mother looked up and smiled. "Did you sell the ring?" she asked. I did, I diddly did," sang Polly, smiling back. She reached into her pocket and pulled out the money and the gold pine cone. The pine cone never turned back, but all the nastiest things did. If you go to the village today, they'll boast about the time that they all bought pixie gold, but they won't show you any of it. And you'll know why, won't you?